Welcome to Money 911, the show that's revolutionizing the way we think about business and finance. I'm your host, Kris Miller, and today we're about to embark on a journey that could change the face of entrepreneurship forever. We're honored to have with us Staci, a visionary leader who not only just talks about change, she's making it happen. With her groundbreaking heart profit model, Staci is proving that compassion isn't just good for the soul, it's good for business. Get ready to have your perspective transformed as we explore how kindness can be the most powerful currency in the modern business world. Please welcome Staci Wright. Staci, it's such an honor to have you here. Thank you so much for showing up.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be on your show, Kris. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And I'm super excited to talk about heart profit model. I just resonate. Rings all my chimes. And, it's challenging when everything we thought we knew about business, right? Maybe you could take everybody on this pivotal moment that when you realize compassion could be the key to unlocking success in the corporate world.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. Well, it starts back when I was in between. I'm an entrepreneur. I've had 6 businesses over the last 20 years. Between business 4 and 5, I started doing a whole lot of volunteerism out in my community. And through that period of time, I started recognizing that we had some pretty substantial social issues brewing and happening. We had the mental health crisis was growing at a faster trajectory than we were able to keep up in the charity world. So we have a shortage of mental health professionals. We have a growing population of people struggling with mental health, and it's becoming more and more the norm. I do 3 meetings a month, and I've done that for 2 years. And every time I talk to people, I ask, who has been personally impacted by depression, anxiety, or addiction? And there's every person's hand goes up. So it is more prevalent than it's ever been. And seeing this, it's like the freight train is about to run off the tracks for humanity. Humanity's house is on fire. And so as I'm an entrepreneur wanting to solve problems, that became a focus for me, is how can we solve this problem sustainably in an ongoing way with the power of business? Because business solves problems. And so that's what I set out to do. And so then I thought, so if we're going to use business to solve mental health, what does that look like? And I started thinking about the way we do business. And the way we've done business in the past is keep your employees at a distance. Don't get emotionally attached. Don't get emotionally involved. You got to keep that professional distance because profit is the most important thing and people are expendable. And so that's the way we've been doing business. And it doesn't really make people feel valued. We do know that environment plays a big role in mental health and where we're spending our time. And we spend the majority of our time, our waking hours, at work, in some kind of field of work. And so if we can change the environment that people are working in, we can actually change the outcome of their mental health. And so then I set out to figure out how in the workplace we can create a culture that nourishes and that holds space for mental well-being. And so those are the things that we're bringing through Heart Profit to the workplace.
That's fabulous. And your journey, a serial entrepreneur with 28 patents, right?
Yeah.
That's not a small thing. And to champion heart-based business practices, it's fascinating. And so this evolution shaped your definition of true success in business, wouldn't you say?
Yes, absolutely. And then what we found through this process is that it's not only good for people's mental health, it's actually good for the business's bottom line. So when we create that culture of well-being for everyone brings a level of commitment to the business that they otherwise don't have. And so then you're getting people's buy-in, you're getting commitment, and it really becomes a win-win situation within the business. And businesses do better. The profits are better. There's less attrition. There's more people sticking around, and not having to replace people over and over and over can save on your bottom line as well.
Right. And as you said, that we are facing this global mental crisis. I can't believe it. I talk to hundreds of people, a lot of people daily. And it shocks me on how catastrophic everybody's story is. So like, whoa, like the temperature's up and people are just, falling off cliffs in their emotions. And like you said, businesses have a crucial way because, we're living inside of our business, and, maybe share a success story that will inspire our listeners to take some action.
Yes, absolutely. And what you brought up a really good point is that we're all just on that edge of falling off the cliff.
Right.
And part of that is the level of stress in the society we live in.
Yes.
And we know now with the neuroscience that we have of our brain and how it functions when we're under stress, what we know is that when we're functioning at high levels of stress, our brain function goes down. Our smart part of our brain function goes down. So the biggest part of our brain is the cortex part of our brain. That's the smart part of our brain, the part of the brain that makes good decisions, the part of the brain that can forecast, that can look at all the options and can see different possibilities and make good decisions. So when we're at a high level of stress, our cortex starts going offline. So it's kind of like, Wi-Fi. When you have all three bars, you have really good reception. Right. You can do a lot of things. When you start going into stress, those bars start coming down. And so you start losing access to that smart part of your brain. And so if you look at, the stress scale on a scale of 1 to 5, this is another question I ask everybody at the meetings that I do. What do you think the average person is living at? And on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being completely off the cliff, 1 being no stress at all, the average person, what would you say on a scale of 1 to 5?
People right now they're 4s and 5s. I mean, I'm hearing people are dying. I mean, there's just catastrophic things, unexpected things that are that you turn your television on or you don't even watch media and what's going on. Yes, it's getting up there. Yep.
Yes. So and that's the answer people say is 4. We're living at a state 4. So we're saying the whole entire population and the society we live in, we're all living at a level 4 stress. Mm-hmm. How that impacts our thoughts is it puts us into a state of reaction and irrationality. So that's where our brain, the smart part starts clicking down and we start getting reactionary and our emotions become unbalanced and our behavior becomes unhealthy. So those are the things that happens to our brain when we're operating at a high level of stress. So if we're saying we're all living at this high level of stress, that would explain what's going on in a lot of what's going on in the world today. So to go back to your question, which is a really good question of an example of what this looks like in the workplace. I had an employee who was having a hard time finishing tasks. He was having a hard time staying focused, having a hard time checking things off his to-do list, just not really being efficient and effective in his job. And knowing what I know now about stress in the brain, I recognized, okay, if his smart part of his brain's not working, he must be stressed about something. So, 10 years ago, the conversation that I would have had with him would have been totally different. It would have been, here's a warning. If you don't, start paying attention and start getting the work done, you're not going to have a job. And then the next one would have been a write-up, right? And then the next one, he would have been gone. So that would have been the progression of that situation. Now, what I did was I sat down. It's like, okay, what's going on? Like something's got you really super stressed. Clearly, what's got you stressed? And through the course of a 10-minute conversation, maybe 10 minutes, I uncovered that he was a single dad and his car was breaking and he had just drained his bank account the month before fixing problems with his car. And as a single dad with no family here, he was literally on his own trying to figure out what he was going to do, because if his car breaks, he couldn't come to work, can't come to work, he can't support his kids. Like it was a whole come apart. There was a lot riding on this car working, but he didn't have the resources to get it fixed. And so he was just spinning his wheels in survival, like trying to figure out how to get this fixed. Right. And really he was like shut down because it was overwhelming and he didn't have the resources. So I was able to connect him with an agency, an organization locally that helps people that are in crisis like this. Would they, their motto is let's prevent them from losing their job. Let's keep them in their job. So, or keep them in their house, right? If there's something that they can help pay a utility bill that would help them stay housed rather than trying to help them after they lose it. So I was able to connect him with that organization, and they helped get his car fixed. And within 3 days, his car was fixed. He was back at work. And what do you think his commitment level to the business was at that point?
Right. Back on.
Right. Yes.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
So just helping, and that wasn't a huge deal for me. It was just connecting some dots.
Yeah.
And he was able to come out ahead, and his head is back in the game, and he's got more commitment to me and the business, more loyalty. There's more respect. There's more connection. Yeah. There's a culture of, okay, I'm not all on my own. I was at a conference, and it was a brainstorming conference, and there was 80 people in the room, and there were people from the police department, people from the mental health world, people from the education system, people from the business world. There was just every faction of people, all like samples of people from the society in this room. And their whole goal was to figure out how to overcome these mental health crises that we're facing. And one of the things they said that's a key driver in the mental health crisis is this culture of extreme independence that we've nurtured.
Right.
So we've put that on a pedestal of being independent and not needing each other and not really connecting with each other. But we're wired for connection. And so actually having that independence has started to break our people. So if we can bring that back into our workplace where we spend most of our time, bring that connection, bring that community where people are like, okay, I'm not all alone in this.
Right.
Somebody's got my back. So I can relax a little bit. I can let go of a little bit of that stress, and more of my brain, my smart part of my brain, can come online.
That's great. Oh, that's inspiring, because, we are community, but we've been on these little silos, and you can't do it alone. We need we need help. So I think probably maybe, you've been a volunteer, and it's really moving. And it's transformational, like we're talking about, from community service. And I sense that's fundamentally altered your approach in business leadership. So weaving that together, and then having organizations that, like, what was so hard with that? You could help him fix his car, and then his brain, he's not stressed. And if that was really a simple, that was easy. That was a beautiful.
Yes, exactly. So if we can bring this to the workplace in general, where we're all having this sense of community, sense of camaraderie, sense of helping one another, it takes a load of stress off of people.
Right. And a lot of leaders fear that prioritizing compassion might compromise productivity, like the whole concept is wrong.
Yes.
And so how can you conceive even the most skeptical CEOs that heart-based practices are not just feel-good initiatives or woo-woo, but they're essential strategies for future-proofing their business, in conjunction with, just like you're talking about, what happens with the brain. You could see that with somebody being sick, that all of a sudden they lose their future, and it's the same kind of illness that heart profit model can help heal.
Yes, that's an excellent point that you bring up, and there's two things I want to address with that. One is I'm going to ask a question of the CEOs that are out there, and I'm going to have them feel into the answer. So, question: would you rather have 100 employees that were compliant with everything that you asked? Or would you rather have 100 employees that were committed to your vision?
Right. Yeah.
Just feel the difference of that.
Yeah,
A
definitely.
huge difference. And so that's what this engenders. It engenders a commitment to your vision and the commitment to the bigger picture of what we're trying to accomplish. But I do want to back up because you did bring up a really good point in that when we bring in, so what we've been doing in the past is command and control. That's been the way we manage, is command and control. And if you add compassion and you don't change the model of management, production does fall.
There you go. Right.
Okay.
Yep.
So there is a bridge, there is a learning curve, there is some things that we have to incorporate in order to have compassion and high performance at the same time. So that's part of the premise of Heart Profit is the education process of leaders and business owners and CEOs. It's let's teach you these skill sets to move away from the command and control and into this more heart-based leadership role where you are engendering commitment rather than compliance. But like I said, there is an actual issue. If you just add compassion and you don't change the business practices, you will have some performance issues with that.
Right, exactly. So it's revolutionary, and maybe walk us through a case study while implementing this model, not only improve the company's culture, but skyrocketed their performance.
I had a business owner come to me just this last weekend, and she said, I made one change that I learned in the Heart Profit lessons, and it has changed literally everything. And I said, okay, what is that one thing? She goes, it's the way I interview people. And so what the part of the process of teaching this is you want to make sure you have the right people in your company. So typically in the past, we hire based on skill sets and experience. So we look at, okay, well, you've done this, this, and this, and you have these skill sets, then you're a highly qualified person. Okay, come to work for us, right? But what is really important in the bigger picture when you're looking for these, this kind of committed employee is their values. And you want to make sure their values align with the company's values. And so switching that focus from skill sets to values allowed her to bring in people that have synergistic values, right? Because they want quality, not quantity. It's about taking care of our customers, not just performing a task. And so now she's bringing in people based on their quality of values rather than their skill sets. And she teaches them skill sets if they don't have them. But the most important part for her is the values and making sure that they are aligned. Because when you have a company full of employees that are aligned with your values, that makes a huge difference.
Right, exactly. Very good. Well, for the listeners who are inspired and ready to act, what would be the first step that they could take tomorrow to start integrating heart-based practices in their business model? Maybe, give something concrete or transformative, or what would you say?
Okay, I would say the first thing is one of the first things that we started off with our education and certification process is holding high expectations for your people and changing the way we approach their job descriptions. So typically job descriptions are based on here's the minimum, like these are the things you have to do in your job description. And what we say is take that out and put in more broad categories. Like if it's customer service, instead of saying you need to be able to type so many words a minute and do so many emails and answer so many phone calls, it's more of it's your job to ensure that every customer feels well cared for. And so it shifts the perspective, and it's not you have to do these things. It is this is your job, is to take care of your customer and make sure they are well cared for, make sure they feel well cared for. And so whatever that is, right? And if you're hiring people with like values, they're going to be able to figure some of that stuff out and go above and beyond what the minimum would be in a typical traditional job description. So broadening those horizons for your people and having high expectations for them to participate in their job, in their duties, in their problem-solving skills and abilities.
That doesn't sound hard. I mean, those are like really simple things that could be, implemented right away. It's
Yes.
not complicated, really. Just
Right.
tweaking a few little things there.
Yes.
And so when you look ahead, how do you envision the future of businesses evolving with a greater focus on compassion and care? What do you see?
I see. Okay, so Monu Shafiq, who was the London School of Economics director, she was in charge of the London School of Economics. She said jobs of the past were about muscles. Jobs of today are about the brain. Jobs of the future are going to be about the heart. We are moving into the compassionate era of business.
Yay.
Our next generation, I have two Gen Z kids, and they are wired so different, and they're wired for more heart. And so they want to work for companies that care, companies that have compassion. They want to buy from companies that have compassion and care. And so they're looking for that. So as they come up into their power, into their years of work and purchasing power, they're looking for the compassionate based company. So those who jump on the bandwagon and incorporate compassion into their business are the ones that are going to thrive in the future. The ones that resist and the ones that say, oh, that's soft, woo woo stuff, we don't need that, they're going to become obsolete.
Right.
So it is the future.
Yay, more
Yes.
heart. Right.
Yes, thank goodness.
Yes, and you're a visionary, Staci. So, this is a picture, and this is where it's going, whether people like it or not. And those who don't like it just disappear because love wins.
Exactly.
That's the whole thing of being on Earth, schoolroom Earth. What's it about? Love, compassion. Put it in the business. Put it in everything, right? Heart, soul, and mind. Why not?
Exactly.
And you have a really exciting thing you were talking to me about before we started.
Yes.
Why don't you share that with everybody?
Okay, so Heart Profit, we have four basic tenets. One is education. So we're educating business owners and leaders in how to have compassion. Certification. So we're setting the bar and saying this is what it means to be a compassionate business. And we're certifying businesses in that. We have a support system. So we have an online support system for the businesses that are incorporating these things. So you can get on-demand help as you need it, as you're facing challenges. But the fourth one, and this is the one that you're asking about now, it's the accelerator. So we want to accelerate compassionate business. So we have a campaign that we're doing. It's 100,000 Who Care, and we are recruiting 100,000 individuals across the globe to come and join this crowdfunding mechanism. And it's $5 a month. And we are going into pitch competitions and going into businesses and providing grants, prizes, and investments into businesses that are incorporating the heart profit business model. So with the crowdfunding, with 100,000 people at $5 a month, that's $500,000 a month that we're funneling to businesses that are doing heart-based practices and that are leading the way with the heart practices, particularly the young entrepreneurs that are already wired to do that. We don't want to send them out to traditional investors. We want to keep them pure and keep them heart-based. And so that's what we're growing right now is the accelerator, so we can funnel money to heart-based businesses.
That sounds great. So tell everybody where to go to get connected.
Okay, so we have a website. It's heartprofit.co, heartprofit.co. Heart Profit's all one word. And you can go there, and then under the subscription tab, there's multiple options to join. There's the 100,000 Who Care, which is the $5 a month. You can do more per month, and that the higher you go, the more you get. So people that have $50 a month get gifts every month from a heart profit company. So there's different ways that you can participate in the subscription basis. If you're a business and you want to be a part of the education certification process, it's the same place, heartprofit.co. Go to the subscription tab, and there's 2 levels for the businesses where they can get information and find out how to be a part of that.
That's beautiful. Everybody hop on there, find out, get into that. If everybody add a little more heart, we may have peace on earth.
Yes. Right? Yes.
Right.
That's where we're headed.
That's where it's headed. Right. Staci, it's been a pleasure talking with you today. We'll look forward to having you back again.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Kris. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Wow. I don't know about you listeners, but I feel like we've just witnessed the dawn of a new era in business. Staci, thank you so much for sharing your revolutionary insights. and for showing us that compassion and profitability aren't just compatible, they're inseparable in the future of business. To everyone tuning in, ask yourself, what if the key to unlocking your business' true potential isn't in your spreadsheets, but in your heart? It's time to reimagine what success looks like. Let's create businesses that don't just make money, but make a difference. This is Kris Miller from Money 911, reminding you that in the world of business, the most valuable currency is compassion. Until next time, keep your minds open, your hearts full, and your impact powerful. There's so much to learn about healthy money. I hope today's discussion brings you one step closer to securing and protecting your future. So you can get started on the right foot, go to meetwithkrismiller.com and schedule your free financial fitness strategy session. Thank you for listening, and please subscribe to Money 911 so you don't miss our next episode, which includes health, wealth, and peace of mind.
The power of purpose. Doing well by doing good. The power of purpose. Doing well by doing good. The power to bless lives inside of all of us. The power of love.